Tell Me More podcast is being recorded on the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation. We pay our respects to elders past and present and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures. Welcome to Tell Me More, where we have conversations about the good, the bad and the real. I'm your host, Olivia Molly Rogers. On the podcast today, I am joined by AFLW star Eden Zanker. Eden has built a reputation on the field as a powerful forward, but what I love the most about her is how she shows up off the field as her authentic self. In this conversation, Eden shares her story of coming out, what it's like to play a sport that hasn't always been inclusive, and the reality of homophobia in AFL today. Eden, hi.
Hello.
Welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming. It is very nice to have you here, and I know that this isn't something that you always do, so I really appreciate it.
No, when you reached out, I was, keen to jump on the opportunity to sit here and chat with you today.
Now, I am not going to pretend that I'm a footy expert. I do enjoy the footy, and I particularly enjoy it now that women are able to play, and you were one of the first.
Yeah, so I come in the second year of the AFLW competition where, it was kind of thriving. Like a lot of women and young girls were getting opportunity to play the amazing sport we call AFL. So, I'm pretty much one of the OGs now. But absolutely loving it.
So 2018 you started?
Yes, yeah. So, drafted as a fresh 18-year-old out of school. Didn't really have an opportunity to go off and work and find my feet. I kind of just, come down to Melbourne and kind of just got dropped off and was kind of just like, you just find your way. And, coming from pretty much the middle of nowhere really, to get dropped into the big smoke was, quite terrifying. But, I honestly wouldn't change it for the world. It's held me in good stead and got me to where I am now. So
awesome.
Made me super resilient. Absolutely love the D. So, yeah.
I would love for you to start by telling me how you would describe yourself to a stranger.
Quite bubbly, energetic. I enjoy doing high adrenaline field things, whether it's, snowboarding or skiing. I quite like that adrenaline rush. So hit me up if you want to do some dangerous stuff. But I think I'm pretty genuine, authentic. I don't really beat around the bush with too many things. So and I feel like I'm someone that you can really rely on, whether it's a hard discussion that needs to be had or, whatever it might be. So, I think I'm also kind of a reliable person as well. So, a couple little things in there, but I think I'm just, happy to be around and, quite a bubbly figure.
Definitely. I definitely get that vibe from the few short minutes we've had you in the studio. I would love to hear about your story with AFL and how you got into footy. And you said you grew up or you came from the middle of nowhere. Where was that?
Well, it's kind of hard to explain to people, but it's about 500 kilometres northwest of here. Mm-hmm. A little, I don't even think I can call it a country town. It's literally just a CFA shed with an old CFA truck in it. So
wow.
A little place called Natcha. Mm-hmm. That's literally all it is, with a little bitumen road and quite a few farms around it. But that's where I grew up, on a farm. I guess when we come back to that footy journey, it was quite quick for me actually, which is kind of good. But at the same time, I wish I had had more time to really hone in on my skills and my craft with football. But on the flip side of that, I only spent a year in a few different competitions and then got drafted in that same year. So quite a really quick process, to be honest. Started at the Warranine Youth Girls, which is football league back home, football team, sorry. Part of the Bendigo League, which, mm-hmm. We have to travel 2.5 hours nearly every weekend to play. And Dad did all of that travelling. So you could only imagine how much time and, being away from the farm as well. Like he runs a business in being the farm, and there's quite a zoo of animals back home as well, which he has to look after. But he gave up that time to take me to Bendigo every weekend and I guess fulfill my dream. I think probably like at that point in time, women's footy was just starting to really take off, and I probably didn't see myself being a part of the AFLW just because I was so isolated really. And I guess Dad probably thought the same as well. So if anything, he probably thought he was doing it for nothing more than just my enjoyment of playing football. But then, obviously, like I said, it was kind of the start of the AFLW, and it was probably a good time to join where everything was taking off. So, like I said previously, it's quite a quick journey for me, but a little bit of time in the under-18 system, and then, got drafted to the Melbourne D's at Pick 6, and absolutely love the team and the culture and the program that they've created there.
That's so cool. And what a good dad. I feel like, to have a parent that's doing that for you without a huge goal in mind of just like you said, for your enjoyment, I think that's really beautiful.
Oh, for sure. And it definitely got him out of his little small bubble as well. Like he again didn't have the exposure to, the big smoke or anything like that as well. So, he created a lot of friendships along the way, and, by the end of it, he had this whole community of people that had surrounded him and, invited him to do stuff. And I just don't think he as a farmer in the middle of nowhere, had the opportunity to do. So yes, it was for my fulfillment, and, I loved doing what I was doing, but it was also good to, get Dad out of, the same old bubble that he'd been in for, 40 odd years in the farming industry. And, get him to explore the world a little bit more. So, it's kind of not only for me, but it was good to see Dad strive in that area as well.
Did you play sports other than footy growing up? You're a sporty gal?
Yeah, I absolutely love sports. But being back home, there's not a whole heap of a range. It's literally only your footy and your netball.
Yeah.
And, basketball and tennis and those bits and pieces. But that was an hour away. And quite a significant amount of training had to be done in the town, which was quite some time away from our farm. But played 4 games of under 12 boys, footy with the boys when I was 11, around about that age. And then, being where I was, you couldn't progress any further than that. And then, played 3 years of netball, or a couple years of netball, which I never thought I would do ever. But, played that quite enjoyed it, just being out and trying something new. And then, obviously that under 18s youth girls that I spoke about earlier started up, and I come in the second year that they were evolved, that they got involved in the Bendigo League program. And then, from there, it was, like I said, such a quick progression into AFL. So, a bit of netball, dabbled in a bit of that. So, it was good fun, but loved my footy.
So you didn't think that it was going to be something that you could pursue as a career? I guess it didn't really exist at the time. So did you hope that would change? Were you going into it hoping that would be the case, or?
Yeah, absolutely. I think it was just more so from the point of view that I was in such a secluded area. How are people going to come through or, look at me and watch me play football to allow me to get to that point? That's probably where the biggest barrier was. But then, obviously through the inclusion of the Bendigo Pioneers, which is through the TAC Cup, which is under 18s, played with Vic Country, which allows you to go up to Queensland and versus Western Australia and Vic Metro, just those, they're not small anymore, but just those programs that allowed me to actually realise that actually I can do AFLW and play AFLW. Before I started, I was it's just something that I'm just going to have to turn on the TV and watch from a distance, from afar. But those little small programs that you kind of just work your way up into, obviously make a lot of young women's dreams come true. So, that was probably the biggest barrier, is being so secluded from everything.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
What does it look like for you now, your footy life and life outside of footy as well?
Yeah, well, I'm obviously been in the system for quite some time now. So this is my 9th year at the D's, and I used to actually work at Amy Park as a sports turf manager. So outside of the little football bubble, I dabbled in a bit of turf management. Absolutely loved it. I honestly didn't think I had the love for turf that I do now. Obviously with a bit of farming background, you kind of get little hints and daps of the things you do in sports turf management, but it is somewhat different. I just thrived in that environment, going out, and it is quite a satisfying job as well, doing all your little patterns and bits and pieces in the grass. But now that AFLW has become a lot more of a full-time professional job, I had to let that go, unfortunately, at the start of the year. And
just this year? Yeah,
just this year. So I guess we can park that for a second, but like before, the hours become a lot more consistent and daytime hours. Like we used to have to work a full day and then, go to training at, 4:30, 5 o'clock and then train not leave the club till like 9:30, 10 at night. So, super, super duper hectic. So I'm glad that we're on a bit more of a better schedule now, but the better schedule has allowed me to, put my full focus into becoming a better athlete and, preparing my body for the games and for training. So, my life outside of football looks a little different now to what it did at the start of the year and previous years. I get a lot more time to just relax and rejuvenate and focus on myself and prepare myself and, get ready for those games on the weekend. So, yeah.
Can you tell me more about what it was like balancing a full-time job and training? Like the fact that AFLW for so long was that for so many women, just all sorts of careers outside of the sport itself. Yeah. It's amazing that you've made progress, but it's so annoying that it has taken this long for you to get to this point.
Yeah, for sure. It is tough, and there still are women out there in the AFLW program that are sustaining a full-time job.
So it's not the same across the board?
Not really. I think the good thing about it now is that you've got the choice whether you want to be, and obviously the pay is a lot better as well. So you're not kind of just, I guess, living on pennies and going paycheck to paycheck anymore. But I think, and I can only speak for Melbourne, but they're so great at allowing, some of my teammates to do what they still love to do alongside of football. Like I know that, Lozzie Pearce, she sometimes has to miss a session throughout the week so she can focus on her role at her other job. You know what I mean? So, and the club are so respectful of that because they know that outside of football, we still need to have something.
Yeah.
We still need to have something for our minds to not get so caught up with football. So they're so amazing at work-life balance.
Oh, that's good.
And like I said, I can really only speak for Melbourne, but they do an amazing job.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Obviously, it's changed so much in the last, you said this is your 9th year.
Yeah.
In that time, what do you think the biggest changes have been?
I think, there's been a lot, but I think something that I find really lovely is the fact that all those small little grassroots football clubs and they have now got an under 10s, an under 16, under 12, it's just like this big club mentality of getting women's football involved.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like you can go to any club and they'll have young women, young girls running around in the mud, whatever, it's just amazing to see so much involvement from where AFLW have started. And I can talk about like back home, there's obviously still probably more progress and more work that we can do in the more rural areas. But if we talk about, Melbourne and the bigger city, like it's just amazing to see so much participation for women's football. So, and that's only going to hold the competition in good stead in the coming years. So that's been an incredible thing to see and watch and be a part of. Yeah.
Now, I think that there's been a big shift in, particularly this year, but in the last few years when it comes to people being more accepting of queer people.
Yeah.
And I think that is a credit to AFLW and amazing women like yourself being open about being queer.
Yeah.
Are you able to talk about that?
100%, yeah. And like, I think the AFLW have been such a pioneer in this space.
Definitely.
Inclusiveness, diversity, like all of that. I think AFLW have taken a massive step for the AFL to keep progressing this conversation that, we're even having here. And, we have a pride round usually every year, and we've got it against the Swans this year at round 10. And it's just an incredible round to be a part of, seeing so many people from different backgrounds and the diversity that we have at the grounds on that given day, and really any given round, because we're so accepting, and people genuinely just come to watch the football, and, they don't get, stared at or harassed or, unfortunately, I feel like that's something that is still happening in this day, which is really unfortunate. But you can honestly just go to the AFLW and just be your own self, and that's why I absolutely love the AFLW and the programs for what they are. And yeah, being a queer person myself, it's just we've taken so many big steps in such a short amount of time, but as you know, like we've still got so far to come and so much more to progress with. So it's good to see so much change, but yeah, it's going to be even better to see it continue to progress in a really positive way.
Yeah, for sure. How old were you when you came out, and what did that look like?
My story is probably a little bit different to everyone else, Liv, mainly because I probably got sheltered quite a fair bit from, I guess, how do I put it, from the external kind of negativity and judgment and shame. I think, my sister was a bit of an icebreaker for my family. She came out, and, I think...
What's the age difference with you guys?
5 years.
Okay.
So not too much, but she was a massive icebreaker when it comes to, me coming out. Like I didn't feel that immense pressure, or, I didn't feel as much, and this is terrible that I'm saying this, but like shame of
I don't think it's
coming
terrible
out,
that you're saying that, because I think it's a very normal feeling that's unfortunately associated 100%, with it. Yeah.
So she was a massive icebreaker in terms of that, and to this day I haven't actually told my dad. I haven't sat my dad and been like, Dad, I'm queer, or I told Mum, and I actually cried during the process, and she was so good with it. She's like, I'm still gonna I love you. I don't care. Like, why are you crying? Like, it's nothing to cry about. And she's like, she was baffled that I haven't even had a tear in my eye. But to this day, and I don't know why I haven't told Dad. I think I just took my partner there, and then I guess he just assumed.
Yeah.
But I actually haven't sat down and spoken and told Dad, like, this is what I am. And in a way, I kind of think it's nice. Like, he's kind of just accepted what's there, and I guess accepted is the word, or just doesn't care, or I don't know.
It doesn't make a difference.
Doesn't make a difference, correct.
Yeah.
So,
as it shouldn't.
Correct, 100%. So, yeah, I've been quite sheltered, and obviously living in the middle of nowhere. That's really the best I can say or compare it to. But, you don't kind of get caught up too much in that external stuff. So, I've probably had it easy compared to some people, to be honest. So
do you not think, other than the conversation with your mum, did you not have to have many conversations that were you explicitly telling people?
Correct. Yeah. And this is where the AFLW becomes such a big factor in my life. I could just come to Melbourne and seamlessly fit into a team that accepted me. Like, I didn't have to prove anything, or I didn't have to sit down and have those conversations, or, I didn't have to sit down in front of a camera and feel a bit of shame or something about coming out. Like, I just didn't have to deal with that.
That's so good.
And that's, like I said, where the AFLW is such a great and safe space. And I'm so glad we've created that, because I couldn't imagine going into something and boxing something up for X amount of years and not being able to talk about it freely. So, I've been quite lucky, actually, Liv. Yeah.
That's awesome. Do you talk much about this with your sister, or did you in the early days?
Not really. She kind of just, I feel like she had a bit of a hint that it was kind of just who I am anyway. Like she didn't sit me down and was like, do you need to talk about this, or do you need to talk about something? Or, you know, like she, if anything, we just kind of banter over everything. So, nah, not really. Like it's not a conversation that we ever actually sat down and had. It just happened.
I think that's really cool.
Yeah, it's incredible actually. Like you hear some stories and my mind just blows up, like, because I feel like I've just had it so easy compared to some people. And, you know, I wish it just didn't have to be a difficult thing to do.
No, I think for anyone listening, it is great for them to know that it doesn't always have to be this big momentous thing. That I think people have so much fear around the build up and what it's going to be like. One of my best friends came out to me when I was 17, he was 18, and I had a feeling, but he went to tell me and he was so nervous and I could see just all the tension and the fear in his eyes, and he's like, I need to tell you something. And I said, I think I know what it is. Yeah. And he said, well, thank fuck. So then I don't have to say it.
If anything, they know before you. So, yeah.
And then we just hugged and I was like, it doesn't, you know, I love you, and it doesn't matter. Like, I mean, it matters because it, you know, impacts the way that you sometimes are perceived by other people. And I wanted to make sure that he knew that I was going to support him, but it didn't matter in the sense that our friendship was exactly the same and I loved him just the same, and that's how it should be. And I do think it's helpful for people to hear that there are stories that aren't really scary and people don't react in a terrible way. Yeah. And more people are becoming accepting.
Absolutely. 100%.
But I do think it's hard when we see still in the media, you know, the last couple of months have been a really disappointing time, I think. Yeah. I'm referencing specifically what happened with the Adelaide Crows and Isaac Rankin and what happened there. Do you have a perspective on that?
Yeah, I think it just comes down around that education piece really, and I'm sure, Isaac would have gone through that process and had some really meaningful conversations with the right people. So, I'm sure them as a club, they're a super professional club and they've handled it really well. But as long as Isaac's got the clarity and information that he needs for that scenario not to happen again, because he is a role model to so many young, old, you know, people in Australia. So, I guess it was a little bit disappointing, like being as a queer person myself, like to see that still in the game and, you know, still those conversations between players, you know, that's still happening. It's a bit disappointing, but like I said, I'm sure the club have approached it in the right way and given Isaac the education that he needs to, you know, for that not to happen again.
Do you think the AFL is doing enough though? I feel like the fact that he was given 4 weeks instead of 5 weeks was really disappointing. And, you know, obviously he's a really good player and Adelaide were doing really well. And I feel like that was a big part of the reason he wasn't given as many weeks.
I don't know what happens behind the four walls of the AFL. Obviously, you've hoped that they've done as much as they possibly can to get Isaac to a point where he realises that was
the gravity of it.
Yeah. Correct. Like, yes, a small little word has such a massive impact on a whole community. So I'm sure they would have sat down, the Crows and AFL would have sat down or had quite a lot of conversations back and forth. And, as long as they've contributed or given Isaac what he needs in terms of, like I said, the education around that comment and the impact that it can have, then, you can only trust the AFL are doing as much as they possibly can to, you know, kind of get that out of the system.
I do wonder if they have enough queer voices in the space, like in those conversations, if there are actually queer people contributing and helping to make those decisions on what a punishment should be.
Yeah. Oh, obviously not, because it's happening too frequently, really. And I think a big little step that's happened lately is the Mitch Brown coming out and having a chat. It probably, to him, probably feels like a smallish kind of step, but in the context of, the gravity around the LGBTQI plus community, it's a massive step.
Huge.
So we're getting there, and it's going to still take a lot of time, but it's the small accumulating steps that we're taking right now that are going to have a huge impact for people coming through the system. So it was good to hear his voice and his background, and he's an incredible football player. So it doesn't matter what he identifies as, or, it's just, it doesn't change who he is.
Yeah.
So.
I do feel like, I mean, obviously, like you said, you don't know what goes on in clubs that you're not a part of. And I have no idea what goes on in those clubs because I've never been a part of one. But the way that I see the change over the last few years, I would think that if a player was to come out, that their teammates would actually be really supportive. I imagine that the club would be supportive.
Yeah.
I feel like the fear comes from the reaction from the supporters and the audience.
Yeah.
And I think you see that in the way that when the Crows came out and Collingwood came out after Isaac had been suspended.
Yeah.
And I'm so ashamed to be an Adelaide supporter when this happened and the crowd booed. Like, that was just like, oh my God, are we really that backwards?
Yeah. When they booed Quaynor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy.
It's actually disgusting. Like, I'm embarrassed to even talk about it, but I think it's important to talk about because I do think that's where the fear lies. It's not actually within the clubs. I think maybe it used to be. And I'm sure, I can't speak for everyone, but I'm sure there are guys who would still make shit comments that then stop a player from wanting to come out. But I do think it would come from the supporters, and because it is still such like a boys club vibe.
Yeah, correct. And yeah, for Isaac Quaynor, to get booed for not having to do anything.
For being a victim.
For 100%. And yeah, it's disgusting really. And, we're better than that. We've got to be better than that as a community. Whether you're part of the LGBTQI plus community or not, like, you can't boo a player, a victim of, homophobic comments.
Yeah.
I don't know. It baffles me that happened. And yeah, I just really hope that Collingwood, the Crows support base, just understand the gravity of what that would have done. And I think Quaynor, he's a professional athlete. And from what I can see, he's just the utmost happy person. And for him to have to go through that is just, it baffles me.
Yeah.
It makes me feel pretty sad, actually.
And I do think it is for young people who are queer, or people in the AFL community who are queer and who are afraid to come out. I think seeing that just takes you 10 steps backwards.
100%. Absolutely.
How important is the Pride round, do you think, in changing that space?
Oh, massive. A massive impact. And like I was saying before, like, we've created a space where people can just come and watch the footy, whether, it doesn't matter what background or whatever it might be. Like, you can just come, watch the footy, have a good time, good vibes. So, the AFLW have played a huge role in that Pride round space. And like I said, it's probably one of my favourite rounds, actually, to be a part of. There's just so much beauty in it. And to see a whole community just rally together, and just the happiness that brings for so many people to just come watch their favourite teams or their favourite players, whatever it might be, and be as one is, super, super incredible that we've been able to create that space for so many people. So, I absolutely love Pride Round, and I can't wait to see it continue to thrive. I love it.
What do you think we could be doing more as allies to help queer people in the space?
Be an ally. Simple as that. But I think what I was touching on before, like, just the education around, if it's pronouns, for example, like, that is someone's identity really. And if using the wrong pronouns, it kind of can just, so making sure that, as allies, we are getting that education that we need. So we are doing all the right things that we can to make people feel supported.
Something that comes to mind for me is actually pulling people up on little jokes that they make. And I think there's a perfect example that happened yesterday, Mad Monday. Bailey Smith made a really shitty joke referencing Brokeback Mountain and being gay as a result of losing the grand final. And I don't think a lot of people would actually have realised that was a really stupid thing to say. Like, I think that a lot of boys would see that and be like, oh, that's funny.
Yeah.
And I think the fact that Mitch Brown has called it out then shows people why they need to stop and think about that and why that actually is homophobic and damaging.
100%. And there are a lot of keyboard warriors out there as well. And I think it's inevitable that there's always going to be people that are going to sit behind their screens and think they're the toughest person in the world. Unfortunately, that's inevitable. But yeah, the fact that Mitch Brown, given everything that he's already done for the community, has then pulled up a significant player in the AFL and pulled him up and been like, that's probably not really that good, is it? Like, yeah, that's just, again, another small step, but is actually a massive step in the progression.
A big ripple effect.
100%.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's a bit unfortunate that Bailey Smith is such a profound figure in the AFL, is, making small little subtle comments like that. But again, hopefully he just gets the education that he needs and he gets that shit sorted out.
Yeah. Well, I think a lot of people are learning in real time, and when you're learning with a platform like that, it can have a pretty big impact. What are your thoughts around players being role models? I know like a lot of people think, their job is to be a player, it's not to be a role model. And I really disagree with that. I think as soon as you have this platform, you instantly do have a responsibility, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, absolutely. And the club's really diligent in when we first get into the club as a, young, fresh 18-year-old or whatever it might be, making sure that we are getting the education that we need. And it's not just for the queer community, it's for so many other things as well. So, they're super diligent in making sure that we are being the best person, for one, that we can be, but also the best athlete that we can be. And a good example is after every game, we get a little shielded off area where we can go and interact with our fans, and 95% of those fans are young women or men wanting your signature or, wanting the ball that you're giving away. So we do have a massive impact on the community, and a lot of people do look up to us, and we do get a lot of education around how to be the best person that we can be, to make sure that, the reflection of the people in the community, we're not, malicious or a bad person or, whatever it might be. So
the fans are a big reason. Well, they're basically the whole reason that the sport exists, is spectators and people caring about what you're doing. So I think it's important that the players don't take it for granted.
No, definitely don't take it for granted. That's for sure.
No, I know you don't, but I know a lot of the AFLW players don't, but I think that that can't be said for all the players in general, unfortunately. You've spoken a lot about how your partner, Nikita, is one of your biggest supporters. Can you tell me about that?
Yeah, I absolutely love Nikita. She is my absolute rock, and yeah, I kind of feel bad about bringing her into an AFL system because she's my little wag. She goes everywhere our games are. Like, she has to put up with talking to people all the time, which I find quite hard actually. But she's just this bright, bubbly little persona that everyone loves. Everyone wants to be around her. Everyone wants to talk to her. And yeah, rain, hail or shine, I know that I get to go home to this amazing person. And she creates such an amazing space for me back at home. And and the thing is with football, it's very busy. And I think a lot of people kind of just see us train and play on the weekend, but there's so much more that's involved with AFL. It's your meetings, it's going out and doing, I'm not saying it's bad, but doing community work. There's a lot of hours in our day that is taken up by football. And that's pretty much 10 months of the year, if not more, where we struggle to get away and actually have our time and have our own space. So, for someone like Nikita to come into my life and just be this bright, bubbly persona, is just such an incredible thing to have. Because, win, lose, draw, injury, everything, they're there by your side and they ride the wave with you. So, I'm super grateful to have such an amazing, kind person by my side.
That's awesome. I'm so glad that you have her. How do you protect yourself when you are playing something that is a sport that's so public and you've got spectators who obviously would have an opinion on how you play and everything you're doing? How do you protect your peace?
Sounds kind of cliche, but you kind of just try and block it all out. Like, I know it sounds like such a simple thing, but the more that you do focus on all that external stuff, the more that it actually does end up impacting you. So, that just comes down to really, again, I'm saying education a lot in our little segment that we've got here, but education around how to actually cope with that sort of stuff. The club provides an impeccable amount of resources to make sure that we're in the best headspace that we can be before and after. They're just incredible with that kind of stuff. So, just making sure you're always putting that to the forefront of your mind, all the things that you've learnt previously. But at the end of the day, they're not out there doing the hard work, are they? So for me, it's just making sure that you don't get caught up too much in it. Like, everyone's going to have their own opinion. And that's what I've learned over the years of being an AFL player, is everyone's going to have their little say and have their little opinion about how you might have played or how you might have disposed of that. Like, it all just doesn't matter for me. It's good that we have such a good program. Again, I can only speak for Melbourne. That we have such a good program where we all can just lean on each other. Yeah. We don't have to, dwell on something that we've heard on the weekend or anything, or, we can just come into the club and be like, gee, what old mate said on the weekend, that was, so we can kind of get a bit of banter out of it. But it is, I'm sure it can be super, and it was super daunting for me at the start playing with all these randoms yelling and screaming at you. But you learn to just not really take it in too much and ignore it, if anything. So I know it sounds kind of cliche and simple, but
that's because it works. I feel like what you don't know can't hurt you, and if you lean into it too much and you're reading people's opinions on you or listening to what they're all saying, it's like everyone thinks they're an expert. I hate nothing more when I'm at the footy and I'm sitting next to some know-all who is yelling at every single person as to what they could be doing better. I'm like, go do it then. Like, let's see you give it a go. Oh, it annoys me. I still feel like we have a long way to go when it comes to getting men on board with AFLW and taking it seriously. How do you think we can do that?
The greatest of all questions. A question that I think the AFL have pondered about for quite some time, but we have come a long way in such a short amount of space. We have, and I don't want to not argue that, because we have, and we've made huge steps. And how can we help? The progression is, I think, just at the end of the day, like, so half of those people, or men, or I don't want to just say men, but those people have daughters that might one day want to play AFLW. Yeah. So I don't know. I think it's a tough question. It is, because a lot of people probably are stuck in their own old ways, and to break a habit is quite difficult. So I think just us getting more involved in the community and actually showing and I guess displaying a really top quality game is probably the best we can do, making it so, they're not just think it's unwatchable or the skills aren't there. Like, it is. Yeah. The skills are there. It is such a watchable game now. Like, so it's a tough question, but like I said, we've come such a long way in such a short amount of time. So, hopefully in another 10 years' time, we're sitting here chatting about how good it is that everyone's on board with it. So
definitely.
It'll take time. It's going to be a time thing. Yeah.
Yeah. It must be challenging constantly being compared to the men's version of the sport.
Yeah. Again, I think it is inevitable, but again, the things that happen inside the four walls of our programs is nothing like what the external voices are saying. Like, we cross, and again, it's something that is going to take time, but there are so many teams out there that have such great crossover with both programs. And again, there are some teams that are still finding their feet with that. But again, the schedules, I think the more that we can align our schedules and the more that, perhaps we do start playing before the guys' games, and, that'll only draw a bit more of a crowd. And, but yeah, the crossover in those four walls is all that really matters, to be honest. And yes, we are going to get compared to the men because that's just what happens. Their competition has been here for longer than we have. So I kind of think it's going to be an inevitable thing that's just going to reoccur. But again, I think it's going to be a time thing. And when the programs do start to become a bit more connected and, you see things on the platforms of, for example, like Instagram or Facebook, and you see the two programs combining for a training session, I think it'll get rid of that bit of a stigma that we've got Definitely. With the comparison thing. So again, I think it's going to be a time thing, but we'll get there.
Yeah. And I do think that there is, from what I've seen this season, I think a lot more AFL players are speaking really positively and consistently about AFLW, and I think that makes a huge difference.
Well, even them turning up to the games, like a lot of those men are role models and whatnot for younger kids, and them being at the game as well. It's just like, oh my God, like there's these two clubs coming together. So it is special to have the AFL guys come to our games.
If we have any young people listening who want to get into the game, is there any advice you can give to them?
Yeah, for sure. I think just be yourself. I know it sounds, again, pretty cliche, but I feel like at the start of my career, I probably tried to compare myself a lot to the best athletes in the competition, and even athletes that didn't even play AFLW. I just compared a lot, and I felt that probably got me into a bit of a rut, really. You compare your body, you compare your skill, you compare all these different things, but the reason that you are at that club or in that program is because of the strengths that you bring and the strengths that, external people have seen and brought you into the club for. So, yeah, I think my little bit of advice would be to just be you, regardless of anything else. Just be you and bring the strengths that you bring to that club, because that's why you're there. You're not there to be someone else. You're not there to be a completely different persona. You're there to be you. So, that's probably the best bit of advice I can give, for sure.
Yeah, that's really good advice. And if we do have any queer people listening who have yet to come out, do you have any advice for them?
Take it in your strides. Like, do what you think is necessary and what you think is comfortable. Like, I can only give my little bit of advice from, my little journey, which has been somewhat easy. But, yeah, for anyone that's having a bit of a harder time to come out or whatnot, just take it in your strides. It's not a scary thing once it's done. And at the end of the day, you are still going to be loved. Your family is still going to love you. Nothing significant changes. You just got to be yourself. So, just sit down and just have that heartfelt conversation with whoever it might be. So, and even getting a support network as well, if you're finding it quite difficult, like there's so many people that will support you with that conversation. So, reach out. And again, you're not alone in your journey. So, just take care.
Definitely. That's really helpful. Thank you. We wrap up every episode with a segment called Oranges and Lemons, where you share your orange and lemon of the day. Your orange is something positive, a bit sweeter, and your lemon is something that might be a bit more negative or sour.
I'll share my lemon from the weekend, actually. Is that allowed?
Yeah, that's fine.
I was going for the ball and I just out of nowhere pretty much tripped over air on national TV, just slipped over, and it was quite embarrassing. That would have to be my lemon.
Did you hurt yourself?
I didn't hurt myself.
Just your ego?
Ego. Yeah, took a real spike. And then I think on the flip side, if I can go for my orange, we had quite a significant win. So I can kind of park that little embarrassing moment and celebrate a good win with the girls. So And then, obviously being on this podcast, it's gotten me out of my little comfort zone. So, it's a good little step in the right direction for me, but it's been an absolute pleasure being here, having a chat with you.
It's been so nice having you. My lemon is I live in an apartment building. We have 2 lifts, which get really busy at the best of times, but one's been broken for 2 weeks and they've just told us that it's going to be another 2 weeks. So I live on the top level and I collect everyone along the way. But so anytime I need to go somewhere, it takes me so much longer. And I am not someone who plans for extra time. Like I'm like running late as it is all the time. So maybe it's a force lesson. I need to get better at that. But that is my lemon at the moment.
The stairs it is.
Also, lift conversations are so awkward. And now I've got to stand in there with so many other people and it is so uncomfortable. So that's my lemon. My orange is that I am heading back home to Adelaide this weekend, spending the weekend with my family. So I'm really looking forward to that. And of course, having you in the studio has been a real privilege, and another orange. So thank you so much for being here, Eden.
My absolute pleasure.
Thank you so much for listening to Tell Me More. If you enjoyed the episode, please leave us a review, share it with your friends, and follow or subscribe to the podcast. Your help in growing this community would mean so much to me.